This is the Cupra Leon, and you're probably familiar with the Cupra name now. It's been a standalone brand spun off from the familiar Say It range since 2018. And if you're wondering what the name means, well, it's a contraction of cup and racing. And Cupra is also very similar to the Spanish word for copper, which explains the brand's rather unusual obsession with copper accents everywhere. So that's the pub quiz facts sorted, but what about this actual car? So the Leon is Cupra's equivalent of the Ford Focus or Volkswagen Golf, and there is a variety of trim levels, body styles and engines, rather than just one single hot hatch. So you can have it with a 2-litre turbocharged engine with either 242 or 296 horsepower, a 1.5 turbo petrol with 148 horsepower, or a company car friendly 1.4-litre plug-in hybrid with 242 horsepower and the ability to run for up to 30 miles on pure electric power alone. There's even an estate model with 4-wheel drive and 306 horsepower. This one is the regular 2-litre model, so it's a direct competitor for the Golf GTI, right down to the engine and the 7-speed dual-clutch automatic gearbox. So it will probably feel rather sporty. We're going to find out. Well, first impressions are pretty good. You sit low and snug, and the steering wheel and pedals are perfectly positioned for a sporty drive. The seats are also supportive and comfortable, and the perforated leather on the steering wheel looks and feels good. There's also a clear and informative digital instrument cluster that can be configured in a variety of ways, including displaying the sat-nav. Less impressive is the climate control setup and volume control. These touch-sensitive buttons are quite easy to knock when you're using the main touchscreen and a little bit difficult to use on the move. And they're not backlit. In fact, our cameraman has a friend who has one of these, and he used it for 2 weeks in the winter, in the dark, and did not realise that you could adjust the climate control settings with these buttons. Furthermore, not only does this control work by tapping or pressing the buttons either way, but you can also slide your finger up and down to increase and decrease the volume. And now you've seen this video, you're in the know. Talking of the infotainment screen, it's large, clear and quite responsive, much better than the equivalent system in the Golf, but it takes quite a while to work it out. And although the widgets are actually very configurable, the fact it has such a prominent tutorial setting is perhaps a little telling. You can also try accessing the car's functions by voice. Okay, try this. Hola! It worked. What would you like to do? Please set the navigation system to my nearest Motorpoint dealership.
Sorry, unable to connect to the internet. Please try again later.
Okay, so we might need internet signal for that, but you get the point. We could adjust the climate control settings or the radio station, something like that. If, however, you would like to go to your nearest Motorpoint dealer or check out the Motorpoint website and check out the cars for sale, then you can do so at the end of this review. But while it's not the most intuitive car to get used to, whether you use the touchscreen or the voice controls, you do at least get plenty of standard equipment. Even the base level VZ1 cars get 3-zone climate control, a heated steering wheel, sat-nav, Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, park assist and a rear view camera. This mid-spec VZ2 meanwhile adds adaptive suspension, which you need to adjust in the infotainment system. There is no shortcut button, and it also adds speed sensitive power steering, and the VZ3 gets you leather upholstery and wireless phone charging. Back here, we've got a bit of a surprise for you because despite being very similar to a Volkswagen Golf, it's actually a touch longer, so there is more legroom. Although it still is a little bit of a squeeze if you want to sit 3 side by side. In more good news, there's 3-zone climate control and 2 USB sockets for your devices. With 380 litres of room, the Leon's boot is about average for the class, but do be aware that the plug-in hybrid will really eat into that space. Anyway, if you really need the room, the Leon Estate will deliver a whacking 620 litres. But this is a hot hatch, and hot hatches tend to be good fun to drive. So let's do that now. On the road is where the Cupra Leon really shines, providing you get it with the DCC adaptive suspension. You can really fine-tune it to be comfortable and compliant. But sharp ridges in the road will still give you a bit more of a thwack. That wasn't actually planned, but that was quite a big one. Anyway, give you a bit more of a thwack than compared with a Golf GTI. There's loads of grip, whatever setting you put the suspension into though, and the variable ratio steering feels progressive and direct, giving you really satisfying feedback on a country road. The brakes are confidence inspiring too, which is always a bonus in a car aimed at enthusiastic drivers. The acceleration in this 242 horsepower car is more than enough to be thrilling and exciting with a 0 to 62 time of 6.4 seconds. And the paddle shifts here means you can choose the right gear to make the best use of that power. In the more powerful models, performance goes from decent to downright fast, with 0 to 62 miles per hour achieved in 5.7 seconds. The 1.5 litre is more sedate, taking a more relaxing 9.2 seconds, while the hybrid is surprisingly brisk at 6.7 seconds, despite weighing a hefty 186 kilograms more than the car we're driving today. If, however, you're in the mood for a more gentle cruise, then this 242 horsepower 2-litre car isn't the most fuel efficient. You're looking at high 30s. And if you go for the 1.5, you're looking at 40s mile per gallon. And if you go for the hybrid, well, once you've exhausted your electricity, you're looking at low 30s. Whichever Leon Cupra you go for there, you'll find it's a satisfying and sporty hot hatch that's also very easy to live with. So what do we think of the Cupra Leon then? Well, it's pretty good. In fact, every bit as good as a Golf GTI, better in some respects. If we're being really picky, then there are some bits of the infotainment system that are a little infuriating to use, but should that dissuade you from buying one of these? No, probably not. And there is a big enough variety of trims and models to choose from, so you should be able to find a Cupra Leon to suit your needs. And while I've still got your attention, click on the Motorpoint YouTube channel and the bell icon on so that you catch all of our latest video reviews, and click like and subscribe.